Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to At America, the U.S. Embassy's American Center. Here we provide a space for young Indonesian to learn more about the United States. And hello, my name is Patricia Elizabeth. I'm one of the e-guide here. Today is so special because we celebrate World Tourism Day. Therefore, we create this special segment for you, U.S. Visa 101. In this session, the U.S. Embassy representatives will explain about the U.S. visa application processes. But before we start our session, we have trivia quiz for you who join us via online platforms. And the question is it true or false? The theme of World Tourism Day 2023 is tourism and green investment. You can submit your answer to our social media platforms, and if you can guess correctly, you will get a live shout-out from us at the end of this event. Now allow me to introduce our amazing moderator. She is a content and programming manager at America. Everyone, give a big round of applause to Stella Sekarpuri.
Selamat siang semuanya. Apa kabarnya? Thank you so much everyone for coming. So this is from Binus University, Taman Anggrek, closer to where I live. Great. And then we also have people that are coming here to actually know more about the US visa. So without further ado, I will invite our speakers for today. The first one is Ibu Mariel Butters. She's the Vice Consul of U.S. Embassy, Jakarta. Mariel, you. Thank you. And then the second one is Ms. Grace Tobing, the Immigrant Visa Assistant from U.S. Embassy, Jakarta. And last but not least, I think this is actually the one that you will need to pay attention to because he's the winner of the Diversity Visa Lottery. So you can ask him what's the tips and trick after this event. It's Ferdinand Siregar. Silakan, Pak. Silakan, Bapak. So, yes, we're going to start the session by presentation. We're going to do presentation for tourist visa and then the diversity lottery. I also would like to shout out to our friends who's joining us online in our social media platforms and also in YouTube. Please submit your questions. So people in here, you get to ask directly to our speakers. But people who are online, please submit your questions and you'll get your question answered. So without further ado, Ibu Mariel.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here with you today. We are going to talk about visas, and this is a really exciting time for the U.S. Embassy. We issued 57,000 tourist visas last year, and we're set to exceed that number this year. It's really important to us to continue travel of Indonesians to the United States, and we're seeing a lot of Americans coming to Indonesia as well. So as I'm sure you've experienced when you've traveled to different places, whether different cities or different countries, it really increases your understanding and your perspective of different places when you can meet others with different ideas or different takes on things around you. So right now we have large amounts of appointments available. In Southeast Asia in general, you tend to have to wait quite a while to get a visa appointment. In Jakarta, our wait time is less than a month. So if you wanted to apply for a US visa tomorrow for a tourist visa, you would be able to get your appointment in October. So it's really great. It allows for more last-minute travel plans. It allows you to be a little bit more flexible. There's some countries in the world where you have to wait a couple years to get a visa appointment. So this allows you to plan things a little bit more easily. We have also made the process for renewing visas a lot easier as well. As some of you might know, if you've had a US visa in the past, then you do not have to interview again with a consular officer like myself, as long as you renew your visa within 4 years of the expiration date of your first visa. Okay, so to repeat that, if you've already had a US visa, you can renew it without being interviewed again as long as the expiration is within 4 years. Okay, so that saves a lot of time. You don't have to go to the embassy. You can just submit your documents online. So I think my main message for you to begin with is just that this is a really good time to be applying for a US visa. We're very open to assist you. And also our refusal rate is very low. We tend to issue about 90% of visas here in Indonesia. So it's a good time and a good place to be applying for US visas. So we might have the question of what is a visa? A visa is not telling you how long you can be in a country. A visa is basically your entry permit into a country. So this slide breaks down a little bit of information that you should be paying attention to when you get your visa. It has information about your biodata, like your name, your given name, your last name if you have one. We know in Indonesia a lot of people have one name, so that's perfectly fine too. It tells you about the type of visa that you have. So on this exact example, you have a B1, B2 written there. That's for the tourist visa. And then it also gives you the dates from which you could begin entering. So in this example, the visa date is April 8th, 2003. It feels like a very long time ago. So for this person who was issued back in 2003, they could enter on this visa at any time between 2003 and 2013. It doesn't mean that they can stay in the US that long. You can only stay 6 months on a US tourist visa, but you can enter within that time period. So even if you entered on, let's say, April 2nd of 2013, that's still perfectly fine because your visa would still be valid. I'm giving you this screenshot here of our website. Our website has a lot of information on it. So if anything we're talking about today is really interesting to you and you want to learn a little bit more, you might find some more examples on our website as well. We have different sections for visas that are broken down into the different non-immigrant type visas that you can apply for, and also the immigrant visas as well. My colleague Grace is going to touch on one of those types of immigrant visas in her talk today. So when you're deciding on the type of visa that you want to apply for, there's a lot of different types to think about. We've been talking mainly about the B1, B2s, which are the tourist visas. Those are by far the most common visa applications that we see at the US Embassy in Jakarta. But there's also a lot of other types of visas. So we have large numbers of Indonesians working on ships that pass through American waters. So those are C and C1D visas. We have student visas. I know we have a lot of students in this room. So if anyone here is interested in applying to study at an American university, you would be applying for an F visa. If you want to do a student exchange or a scholar exchange or a summer work program, any of those type of programs come in through a J visa. We have visas for temporary workers. These are typically people who have studied in the United States, but not necessarily. So these are usually for people that are a little bit more established in their careers, and they're supported by a US company or a US industry to live in the United States and do work in the United States. We have visas for domestic helpers, and we have visas also for journalists and media. So that's a big component of deciding to apply for a US visa, is figuring out which kind fits your purpose of travel. And each different visa has different requirements, has different stipulations, different materials that you have to prepare. So here I've laid out some of the basic steps for applying for a tourist visa, which is what we'll focus on today. Though if you have any questions about the other types of visas during our Q&A session, you're welcome to ask those as well. So the very first step is to complete the non-immigrant visa electronic application. It's called the DS-160. So this is going to ask you about your work history, your study history, your travel history, It will ask you about any contacts you have in the United States, friends or family. It'll ask you about your address, where you grew up, where you were born, things like that. So we just encourage people to fill those out as completely as possible, because when you go to your interview and you're interviewed by a consular officer, they will be looking at this material and comparing it to the kind of answers that you're giving during the visa interview. The second step is to pay the visa application fee. And then the third step, you go ahead and schedule your appointment using an online appointment system. So this will give you a little bit of flexibility in choosing what date you want to come in and do your interview. And then the fourth step, the one that everybody's maybe a little bit more nervous about, is the interview day itself. And hopefully the take-home message from this is that you don't need to be nervous on the interview day. That you just need to come in and be honest, and you have nothing to worry about. I've assembled a couple things that you should bring with you on the day of your interview. So you need to have your appointment letter, the confirmation page from your application, that DS-160. You need to have one recent photograph. This is actually something that causes a number of people to have to leave the embassy and come back. We have some stipulations for the photos. So you can't have bangs that are covering your forehead, and you shouldn't be wearing glasses either. So make sure that you carefully check on those photo requirements before you apply or before you submit your documents. You should also make sure to bring your passport. So the visa is going to be physically printed into your passport. So it's very important that we have it on the interview day, so that we can accept it, keep it at the embassy, and print your visa into it. I also recommend that you bring any of your old passports. Sometimes the consular officer will have questions about your previous travel, whether to the United States or to other countries. So it's really good to have that with you and be ready to hand it over to the consular officer so they can take a look. And then any supporting documents. Now, this is going to vary depending on what kind of visa you're applying for. If you're applying for a student visa, you're going to have documents from the university supporting your educational program. You might need to bring certain financial documents if you're doing a student program or an educational exchange. If you're going for tourism, you really don't need to bring other documents. You just need to be prepared to talk about what your plan is. So the worst thing is when somebody comes in and you say, where do you want to go in the United States? What's your plan? And they don't really have an answer for you, because it makes the consular officer wonder what their true intention is. So when you come to the embassy, you should be prepared to say, oh, I'm going on a cruise in Alaska, or, oh, I'm going on a road trip from Montana to Seattle, or, oh, I really want to go to Disneyland. So as long as you're prepared to talk about that plan and answer any of the follow-up questions, you're perfectly fine. And if the consular officer asks you something that you don't understand or you don't know the answer, it's perfectly fine to say, oh, I don't know, or we haven't made that plan yet, but you should have something that you're ready to say to the officer. All right, so that's all I have for you for now about the tourism visas. We're going to take more questions about those during the Q&A session, but I will go ahead and pass it off to my colleague.
Thank you so much, Mariel. I know that you guys will have so many questions in your mind right now, but after the diversity visa, we will take questions. So the next one will be from Grace on the diversity visa.
Oke, selamat sore semuanya. Nama saya Grace Tobing dari Kedutaan Amerika. Hari ini saya akan berbagi informasi mengenai visa lotre green card untuk tahun ini yang dibuka untuk tahun 2025. Ada yang tahu nggak atau sudah pernah coba untuk ikut visa lotre? Sudah pernah? Oke, ini saya bagi informasi aja sedikit ya. Jadi setiap tahun pemerintah Amerika memberikan visa lotre untuk 55.000 visa untuk negara-negara tertentu. Negara-negaranya apa aja? Jadi Amerika itu kan seperti kita tahu melting pot dari berbagai bangsa. Jadi di Amerika kalau yang populasi negaranya rendah, bermigrasi di Amerika, itu yang akan diberi kesempatan untuk mendapatkan visa lotre. Jadi untuk negara-negara misalnya India, Philippines, Vietnam, dan ada beberapa negara lain, karena populasinya sudah banyak di Amerika, visa lotre tidak terbuka lagi untuk mereka, gitu. Dan untuk tahun ini programnya dibuka per tanggal 4 Oktober sampai dengan 7 November 2023. Kemudian tidak ada batas umur, tapi kita harus memiliki ijazah minimal SMA. Atau kalau misalnya kita tidak punya ijazah SMA, harus ada pekerjaan yang 2 tahun pekerjaan yang mengharuskan ada 2 tahun training. Jadi ada pertanyaan, kalau misalnya saya nggak lulus SMA, terus ada yang namanya kejar paket A, mungkin kalau anak-anak milenial juga nggak tahu ya kejar paket A. Terus kejar paket A, itu saya bisa nggak apply untuk visa lotre? Itu nggak bisa. Karena yang kecuali setelah Anda menyelesaikan program kejar paket A, Anda mengambil lagi diploma 3 tahun, atau S1 baru itu bisa memenuhi kualifikasi untuk mendaftar visa lotre, gitu. Kita sih menyarankan kalau memang Anda sudah tidak memenuhi kualifikasi dan tidak memiliki ijazah SMA, sebaiknya tidak melamar, karena untuk memenuhi kualifikasi 2 tahun pengalaman pekerjaan ini sangat sulit, karena tidak sembarang pekerjaan yang bisa, ada spesifik jenis-jenis pekerjaan yang ada di list pemerintah Amerika sebutkan, nanti ada di website yang lain. Kemudian hanya bisa mendaftar 1 orang untuk 1 aplikasi. Kalau Anda mencoba untuk memasukkan lebih dari 1 aplikasi, itu otomatis akan didiskualifikasi. Terus ada pertanyaan, kalau misalnya saya menikah, bagaimana dong gitu. Justru kalau buat yang sudah menikah malah memiliki kesempatan 2 kali. Karena yang satu bisa dimasukkan lewat principal applicant-nya sebagai suaminya, dan yang satu lagi istrinya memasukkan permohonan sebagai principal applicant. Jadi ada 2 kesempatan, gitu. Terus kemudian untuk instruksinya, karena untuk dvprogram.state.gov ini akan aktif pada tanggal itu dibuka, tanggal 4 Oktober sampai 7 November. Untuk saat ini itu belum aktif, dan kalau misalnya ada yang mau lihat-lihat informasi atau mencari informasi tentang persyaratannya apa sih, terus stepnya bagaimana sih, itu bisa dilihat di website travel.state.gov. Informasinya sangat lengkap, bisa di sana dicari, termasuk juga dokumen apa yang diminta pada saat interview. Gitu. Kemudian banyak sekali kita dapat email, ada yang mencoba mengirimkan mereka email, memohon pembayaran, mencoba untuk memfasilitisasi pendaftaran ini. Kalau menurut saya sih memasukkan aplikasi atau memasukkan permohonan visa lotre itu sangat mudah melalui website ini. Kemudian tapi kita hanya ada 60 menit untuk menyelesaikan aplikasi. Kalau misalnya mungkin untuk DS1 60 untuk visa non-imigran, kalau kita belum selesai kita bisa save dan kita lanjutkan nanti gitu. Kalau untuk visa lotre itu nggak bisa. Jadi dalam waktu 60 menit Anda harus bisa menyelesaikan aplikasi atau otomatis nanti dia become inactive, Anda harus ulang lagi memasukkan aplikasi. Begitu. Kemudian US Embassy atau pemerintah Amerika atau kami tidak akan memberikan konfirmasi kalau Anda itu terpilih. Jadi Anda harus menyimpan nomor konfirmasi sendiri sampai 30 September 2025 dan nanti Anda bisa cek sendiri apakah Anda terpilih atau tidak. Nah, untuk itu Anda bisa cek sendiri di link di sana. Dan kami tidak akan mengirimkan konfirmasi atau notification kalau misalnya Anda terpilih. Semua harus dicek sendiri. Gitu. Kemudian bagaimana nanti meresponnya kalau misalnya Anda terpilih? Kalau Anda terpilih, Anda akan diberikan link lagi untuk confirmation page. Nanti akan diberikan lagi instruksi selanjutnya. Setelah Anda terpilih dan mendapat visa interview di embassy yang Anda pilih, jadi Anda juga bisa memilih di embassy mana Anda mau di-interview. Jadi ada beberapa negara yang kebetulan kedutaannya tutup dan memohon supaya filenya itu bisa ditransfer ke Jakarta dan diproses di Jakarta. Dan ada beberapa requirement yang harus dipenuhi supaya file itu bisa ditransfer ke Jakarta. Jadi nggak semua juga bisa ditransfer ke Jakarta. Gitu. semua harus membayar visa fee pada saat interview. Jadi kalau Anda mendapat email atau apapun yang memohon pembayaran sebelum proses interview, itu bukan dari website yang resmi. Gitu. Itu banyak sekali kita terima dan jumlahnya juga nggak kecil ya. Jadi untuk memasukkan aplikasi mereka diminta pembayaran. Kemudian belum untuk mendapat jadwal interview ada pembayaran lagi. Dan mereka tunggu kok nggak dapat jadwal interview gitu. Ya sudah hangus itu berarti. Sementara kalau untuk yang resmi pada saat interview Anda cukup membayar $535 dalam bentuk rupiah. Itu aja. Terus ada yang bertanya kalau misalnya kita terpilih apakah sudah pasti akan diinterview? Itu tidak, karena slot yang dibuka itu ada 55.000. Jadi yang pemohon yang terpilih itu biasanya lebih dari 55.000 sementara kuotanya cuma 55.000. Kenapa nggak semuanya bisa diinterview? Karena dari 55.000 itu belum tentu semuanya memenuhi kualifikasi. Jadi sengaja dipilih lebih banyak pemenang supaya nanti dari yang tidak memenuhi kualifikasi, yang sisanya itu bisa masuk untuk memenuhi kuotanya. Seperti itu. Terus kalau ada yang tanya, apa sih keuntungan, kenapa pemerintah Amerika memberikan program ini? Seperti kita tahu, Amerika itu kan melting pot dari berbagai negara. Jadi mereka ingin memberikan negara yang populasinya rendah kesempatan untuk tinggal dan bekerja di Amerika. Begitu. Dan tentu saja kalau semakin banyak berbagai culture atau yang lain, yaitu memperkaya negaranya sendiri dan juga memajukan perekonomian. Dan seperti kita tahu, imigran itu mereka semua pekerja keras. Nanti mungkin Bapak Ferdinand bisa menjelaskan perjalanannya dari waktu mendapat itu sampai sekarang. Oke, itu aja. Sekian, terima kasih.
Terima kasih Grace. Mungkin saya akan summarize sedikit ya, the highlight of the presentation. So I think Mariel said that this is actually the best time for you if you actually want to be traveling to the US and have your US visa, because the waiting time is very low, and the approval rate is over 90%. I think that's actually very great. And the renewal visa is within 4 years after the expiration of your visa. I think this is also new for me because before I thought it was only a year. So I have my expired visa and I don't think I have the time to renew it anymore. So I think those are the things from the tourist visa. And also don't be afraid during the interview, just be honest, be prepared of the answers. I think that is the thing that people scare the most, why did I not get the visa? If you already have the answers and everything, don't be afraid. And I can summarize for the tourist visa. And also for the diversity visa, it's going to be open 4th of October, so you guys still have time to actually go to the travel.state.gov for the things that you need to prepare, because the application form is only valid for 60 minutes. I also submitted my diversity visa lottery back then, but then I never checked back the status of my application. I think that's my biggest mistake. So I didn't receive anything, and just be very careful on the fee thing. I think, people asking you to transfer an amount of money, because that's not going to be needed unless you already got your time for interview, right? And I think that's that from me on the summary. Sekarang ke Pak Ferdinand nih. Pak Ferdinand tuh pemenang Diversity Visa Lottery tahun
2003
ya Pak
2003.
Ya. Bapak bisa cerita nggak Pak perjalanannya, terus kenapa sih Pak tertarik ikutan Diversity Visa Lottery, and how is it actually changing your life, that kind of thing.
Oke.
Silakan Pak.
Oke, selamat sore semuanya. Nama saya Ferdinand Siregar. Kalau ditanya kenapa tertarik, to be honest, saya juga nggak ngerti waktu itu. 2001, 2002 nggak, itu kan 2001, nge-apply-nya 2001 ya. And then that time emang orang tua sih, ini isi gitu kan. Ini apa sih, buat apa sih, ngapain sih gitu kan. That time emang saya juga nggak percaya, bohong nih pasti nih, bohong, nggak mungkin gitu kan. Tapi kita isi aja gitu, 2001, 2002 dapat pemberitahuannya, congratulations, you are chosen among 1 from 5 million gitu kan. Terus waktu itu kebetulan lagi di Singapura, terus nelfon sama adik bilang, bang lu dapat inian bang gitu kan. Masa sih suruh bayar kali gitu, enggak ada bayarannya gitu. Beneran, oke. Kita main lagi kan, jalan lagi, kirim lagi. And then 2003 dipanggil, suruh ngelengkapin semuanya, interview, I think Maret atau April, disuruh berangkat bulan September. Pretty much itu emang prosesnya 2 tahun. Itu 2003 berangkat ke Amerika, September, and then, well, ya begitulah. Bahasa Inggris masih pas-pasan, terus kerja keras, ya intinya sih emang kerja keras lah pastilah. This is the dream of land. Kalau Amerika itu kalau kita bilangnya dream of land ya. Jadi 5 tahun di sana, decide jadi US citizen, terus ngesponsorin istri. Waktu itu masih pacaran, abis itu jadi istri sekarang. And then perjalanan panjang, kerja double juga kiri kanan sana sini, nabung-nabung 10 tahun baru bisa buka usaha sendiri. Sampai sekarang punya usaha 3 di sana. Terus sambil hobi juga motoran, jadi motor gede. Kebetulan juga gabung sama HDCI dan IMBI, Harley Davidson Club Indonesia, kebetulan juga sama yang pakai sekarang ini. Jadi suka bawa tamu juga dari Indonesia untuk riding di sana, touring-touring. Pretty much kayak gitulah kira-kira. Kalau dari, mungkin bedanya kalau yang tahun dahulu itu kami pakai paper, semuanya ngisi pakai paper, terus dikirim ke, I think that time Kentucky. Terus dibalikin, dikasih pemberitahuannya by letter juga. Itu mungkin keuntungannya kami waktu itu. Mungkin kalau sekarang disuruh ngecek sendiri juga nggak bakalan dicek juga kali, mungkin sama kakak ini kali. And then, tapi waktu itu juga waktu di 2002 itu disuruh, dibilang bang, abang dapat surat ini dari Kentucky gitu loh. I still remember my answer ke adik waktu itu bilang, Kentucky apa, Kentucky Fried Chicken gitu. Kayak nggak percaya gitu loh. Tapi, well, mungkin itu rezekinya atau berkatnya saya gitu kira-kira kali ya. Tapi ya, now here I am gitu lah kira-kira. Udah 20 tahun di Amerika, keluarga masih di sini, bolak-balik, orang tua lebih tepatnya kalau istri kita semua di sana. Iya, tapi sama orang tua di sini, jadi kami sering pulang pergi Indonesia US. Itu kira-kira itu aja sih. Kalau bisa ada pertanyaan, monggo silahkan.
Ya, terima kasih banyak Bang Ferdinand ya, berarti ya. Makasih banyak sharingnya Bang Ferdinand. Nah, intinya memang kerja keras ya Bang, di mana aja ya.
Pasti. Tekun lah harus pasti.
Tekun dan kerja keras. Oke, sekarang kita akan buka untuk pertanyaan. Nah, Mbak yang ini nih, yang di depan nih. Di sini Bang Dul. Silakan Mbak, disebutkan namanya.
Halo, makasih. Nama saya Ruth Panjaitan. Makasih untuk ini karena memang suka ribet. Aku sih udah 3 kali ke Amrik, tapi tetap aja takut gitu. Kayak aku lulus nggak ya gitu. Terus tadi kan presentasinya dibilang bring your all passports. But my passport since I was elementary school already gone. Jadi the only passport I have is now and the previous one. Is it okay? Terus second, I really want to stay for a month because my boyfriend is there. So is there any tips and tricks for how I can stay for a month? And I want to say thank you for someone who replied to me on Instagram. I think you, Francisca Journey, or no, I don't know who answer me, but dia tuh cerita kalau, kan aku tanya, boleh nggak surat sponsor, misalnya, kan sekarang aku udah nggak full time job, terus boleh nggak surat sponsor dari pacarku atau dari keluargaku yang orang Amrik gitu. Terus kata dia, enggak, kamu nggak perlu untuk turis visa, tapi kamu perlu buktikan your residence and your tie abroad. Terus aku tanya lagi maksudnya apa, terus dia nggak kasih kan. Jadi kalau bisa diperjelas. Terus yang ketiga, diversity visa, apakah itu kayak apply scholarship gitu? Kayak misalnya kalau kita tunjukin kita tuh berprestasi, kita dapat, atau itu benar-benar murni lottery aja. Jadi kalau kamu beruntung dapat gitu. Karena kayaknya seru banget kalau bisa dapat. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih banyak Kak Ruth. I think I'm actually going to summarize the question. So the first question, the tips and trick for her to be able to stay like a month in the US, and the second one, how to actually prove the ties to Indonesia. I think most of the question that we had online, several of the question already submitted online, and they they're actually asking, the Thai to Indonesia thing. And later on, I'm going to move on to Grace for the DV question.
Okay, thank you so much for your question. We do get a lot of questions from people wondering what ties mean. It sounds like a clothing item, but it's not. Ties mean a lot of different things. It just means that you're convincing the consular officer that you have reasons to return to Indonesia. And that could look different for a lot of different people. It could be family here that you're taking care of. It could be that you present in such a way that you convince the consular officer, I would never leave my mother, or it could mean that you have a business here, or you have a job here that you really enjoy that you're returning to, or that you're continuing your university studies here in Indonesia. So it could be multiple different things. It could be a combination of those things. But when you don't establish your ties, you don't convince the consular officer that there's any reason that you'll go to the United States and come back to Indonesia. So that's the first thing. Your other question was about staying a month in the US. Generally, that's perfectly fine. I know that you mentioned a boyfriend in the US. The important thing there is just to be perfectly honest about that relationship. So what we see quite often is people have a boyfriend or a girlfriend in the United States, and they don't tell us that honestly during the interview. We are human lie detectors. We interact with thousands of people. So it's usually quite obvious when somebody's concealing something from us. So if you say that you have a friend and you're going to Alabama to see that friend and he's paying for your trip, it just doesn't make sense, right? So what's important is just to say from the very start, I'm going to Alabama to see my boyfriend. Clear as day. I think it comes back at the end of the day to just being honest. That's going to get you a really long way with all of the interviews. I think you asked one more question at the very beginning about previous passports as well. So I would say just in general, if you have previous passports, especially the last couple ones, then to bring them. If you don't have passports from your childhood or passports from 15 years ago, that's okay. And it's not a requirement, it's just something that could be supporting evidence that you could provide to a consular officer during the interview. So we tend to like to see at least the previous passport to your current passport. And if you don't have it, if you lost it, if it was taken by immigration, or there's some reason that you don't have it, again, just be honest with the consular officer and say, it was burned up in a fire, or it made its way through the laundry and didn't come out. Okay.
Thank you, Ariel. I think the next one will be on the diversity visa. Is it the same as applying for a scholarship, Grace?
Sebenarnya kalau untuk diversity visa itu benar-benar terpilihnya itu random dan computer generated system. Jadi tidak ada kualifikasi khusus, tidak ada umur khusus, benar-benar persyaratannya cuma Anda tamat SMA, itu aja gitu. Kemudian nanti kalau ditanya pada saat interview perlu nggak bawa buku tabungan segala macam gitu, karena kan saya udah menang lotre, saya udah kepilih gitu. Tidak perlu. Untuk financial documents itu tidak diminta untuk interview diversity visa. Kami hanya Anda harus cukup membawa ijazah terakhir, original copy dan translation, itu aja.
Oke, terima kasih Grace. Ini sekarang menyambung itu Grace, ada yang bertanya dari YouTube. Jadi dia menanyakan kalau tidak SMA 3 tapi lanjut langsung ke college dan dapat gelar advance diploma, apakah bisa dengan ijazah advance diplomanya? Ini dari pertanyaannya dari Silviana di YouTube.
Jadi kalau untuk diversity visa itu total pendidikan itu harus 12 tahun yang sesuai dengan standar pendidikan di Amerika. Jadi seperti tadi saya sudah terangkan, kalau misalnya total pendidikannya 12 tahun, ya dia qualified. Tapi kalau GED atau kejar paket A, kalau di Indonesia, itu tidak memenuhi kualifikasi, kecuali dia mengambil lagi 3 years diploma atau bachelor, begitu.
Oke, jelas. Jadi semoga terjawab Silviana yang sudah menanyakan dari YouTube, terima kasih pertanyaannya. Dari teman-teman di sini? Sini dulu ya, nanti saya baru ke sana ya. Terima kasih. Silakan Mbak,
Iya.
namanya
Perlu
siapa?
berdiri atau gimana?
Boleh berdiri dong, biar cakepnya kelihatan.
Okay.
Silakan Mbak.
Thank you for the opportunity that given to me. So my name is Eka. I have a question according to diversity visa. So long story short, I am the awardee of student exchange last year to United States. I just come back here on I guess June 2023. So I'm really curious about my status, which is because I'm a student exchange, right? And it requires me to complete my 2 years residency in my home country. So if I apply to this diversity visa this year, means that I can go there in 2025. And is that applicable for me to apply this diversity visa right now? So I can go there on 2025 if I got a chance. Yeah, that's the first question. And the second question is that you saying in the first step of this diversity visa is that you have to make sure that you will have high school diploma or high school certificate or something. And it's computer generated automation. I want to know how the computer knows if you actually a high school graduate. Like, are you just like choose the something in the website or something, or you have to submit a document or something? That's all. Thank you.
Itu aja Mbak Eka, terima kasih. Grace?
Berarti status visanya J1 ya? Terakhir last departure date from US-nya kapan?
Kalau nggak salah, agak 25 Juni.
Oke, tahun ini ya.
Tahun ini.
Kalau untuk apply DV-nya bisa. Terus nanti interviewnya itu kan kalau misalnya Anda menang, Anda akan di-interview itu bulan Oktober 2025 sampai bulan September 2026. Jadi itu kan otomatis Anda sudah 2 tahun di luar Amerika, jadi Anda bisa di-interview. Kalau untuk masukin aplikasi aja itu nggak masalah, begitu.
Jadi mendapatkan interview opportunity-nya itu kalau sudah 2 tahun ya?
Bukan, jadi Anda bisa di-interview, Anda bisa mendapatkan visa kalau sudah lewat dari 2 tahun tanggal terakhir keluar dari Amerika. Gitu. Kalau pemerintah KCC itu tidak akan mengecek Anda di Amerika atau Anda di Indonesia, nanti di Jakarta baru akan kelihatan gitu. Semuanya dicek. Tanggal terakhir Anda keluar dari Amerika kapan, visa yang terakhir Anda pegang kapan gitu. Dan juga menyambung soal high school diploma ya. Untuk memasukkan aplikasi memang persyaratannya itu, tapi Anda tidak perlu mengupload dokumen apapun. Dan pada saat interview itu semua akan dicek. Dan kami juga ada bagian yang mengecek apakah dokumen itu original atau tidak. Jadi makanya kita selalu bilang ke orang-orang jangan memasukkan dokumen atau selalu memberikan informasi yang benar dan juga dokumen yang benar. Jadi pada saat interview semua itu dokumennya akan dicek gitu. Jadi ada beberapa, saya udah pernah ada pengalaman beberapa applicants mereka sebenarnya nggak lulus SMA, ya mereka terpilih, mereka sampai tahap interview dan mereka sudah bayar, tapi ternyata pada saat kita cek dokumennya mereka tidak lulus SMA. Ya sudah, jadi otomatis uangnya hangus dan kesempatannya hilang gitu.
Kesempatannya apakah akan dikasih ke orang yang enggak lagi, jadi benar-benar hangus gitu ya?
Jadi nanti terakhir biasanya sekitar bulan September sisa kuota visa lotre yang tidak terpakai dan ada negara lain yang butuh, itu akan visanya akan dialokasikan ke negara yang lain gitu.
Jadi kalau misalkan boleh summarize nih Ge, mendingan kalau misalkan tidak memenuhi kualifikasi, tidak mensubmit dan mengambil jatah dari slot Indonesia gitu ya. Karena akan dikasih ke negara lain kalau keluar.
Sebenarnya ya begitu. Gitu. Jadi kalau misalnya visa yang, jadi gini, jatah setiap negara itu tidak lebih dari 7% dari total 55.000 untuk setiap negara. Jadi Indonesia itu sebenarnya nggak terlalu banyak ya visa issuance-nya. Makanya jatah Indonesia itu banyak dialokasikan ke negara lain, seperti yang tahun ini banyak itu ke Rusia dan Ukraine gitu.
Ya, semoga menjawab ya Mbak Eka ya. Sekarang saya ke sebelah sana, tadi ada yang bertanya, ada 2 ya yang di sebelah sana ya.
Terima kasih.
Oh yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Monica. I would like to ask about diversity visa. Is it valid also for asylum seekers and refugees, and or is there any other visa, specific visa for them? Thank you.
Oke, jadi ini asylum seeker-nya sudah overstay, jadi ini di luar topik ya. Jadi asylum seeker-nya ini sudah overstay atau belum? Atau masih menunggu aplikasi?
Still
In process.
Under
Okay.
consideration later. Yeah.
Oke, untuk singkatnya, jadi kalau orang yang sudah pernah overstay dan pernah punya asylum kemudian ditolak dan mereka setelah ditolak tidak keluar dari Amerika, itu kesempatannya itu nggak ada walaupun mereka terpilih. Gitu.
How about if their position now is still in Indonesia?
Berarti kalau asylumnya sudah ditolak, orangnya sudah keluar atau makanya kita perlu tahu dulu status asylumnya gitu.
Okay, they are still here in Indonesia, as both as refugee and both as asylum seekers.
Dan sudah pernah ditolak.
Oh, you mean for this visa or for the UNHCR status?
So are you Indonesian?
Yes, I'm Indonesian.
Okay.
So I work at an organization that help refugees, both national and international.
Okay. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So for refugee itu sebenarnya kalau mereka dalam ini refugee Indonesia ya atau refugee Amerika? Itu ada dua kategori soalnya.
Okay, international refugees such as from Afghanistan, Somalia, or Myanmar like that.
Pernah ke Amerika sebelumnya?
Not yet.
Oke, itu nggak masalah kalau mereka refugee, mereka tetap bisa diversity visa, gitu. Dan mereka tetap bisa diinterview dan bisa dapat visanya.
Terima kasih.
Do you mind if I add something?
Yes, please.
And just to add to that, if it was a case like we were talking about at the beginning of your question, where it was somebody who claimed asylum and then it never was approved, and then they returned back to Indonesia, they would still qualify for the program, but during the interview, their previous time in the United States would be assessed by the consular officer. So if there was any kind of overstay, then that might lead to some kind of ineligibility that would then need to have a waiver. But there is a process in place to handle cases like that.
Maybe are they seeking refugee or asylum status from Indonesia or from United States or from other countries?
So actually they are in the process for looking the resettlement, but they haven't decided whether to go to the third country, that one.
Ya, mungkin Mbak Monica nanti setelah acara ini kita masih ada booth konsuler di luar untuk teman-teman di sini yang masih malu-malu untuk bertanya mungkin atau pengen tahu lebih lanjut atau pertanyaannya belum terjawab, nanti boleh stay di sini untuk bertanya lagi gitu ya. Makasih Mbak Monica. Sekarang I actually want to go back to the online question. So people online are asking, maybe this is to Marielle. They're asking if they already been refused visa issuance like more than 2 times. Is there any possibility for them to get issued visa issuance, or and then still possible to reapply for visa?
Yes, so we get this question a lot. If people were refused again, I think their first worry is that they are now unable to apply again for a US visa. If you've been refused and you've been told by a consular officer that you've been found 214B, which means failure to establish ties, then you're still eligible to apply again for a US visa. So there's no kind of permanent ban against you applying. You might want to think about why you're being refused, and you might want to think about whether it would make more sense in your situation to wait a little bit until something has changed in your life to make you a better candidate for a US visa. So for example, let's say that you just finished high school and you're currently unemployed, you haven't started a new job yet, and you're applying for a US visa. You may or may not be the best candidate for a US tourism visa at that time. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but it might be a little bit more difficult because it again comes back to your ties. So if you got refused twice, let's say you applied in June, you were refused, let's say you applied in July, you were refused, it might make sense for you to just wait until you're established in your first job, maybe give it a year until you have a little bit of work experience, and then apply again for a US visa. So that's just some advice for you to think about why that refusal is happening. It doesn't mean that you're not allowed to apply for another visa, so you can apply as many times as you like.
Thank you so much, Marielle. I think that answers. One more question, I think, from this part.
Yes, I would like to talk in bahasa.
Silakan, Mbak.
Ya.
Namanya siapa, Mbak?
Saya Ika. Jadi saya sekarang itu freelance, remote working. Jadi perusahaannya itu perusahaan yang ada di Amerika, tapi mereka itu small company. They are a small family company. Kalau misalnya saya mau mencoba untuk apply visa turis ya, saya bicara visa turis, apakah jumlah tabungan itu berpengaruh untuk bisa lolos dapat visa Amerika, atau surat keterangan dari perusahaan tempat saya bekerja, tapi memang saya sekarang itu freelance gitu, tapi perusahaannya ada di Amerika. Apakah itu cukup atau memang dipertimbangkan juga finansialnya, jumlah tabungannya gitu. Ya, terima kasih.
Terima kasih Mbak Ika. Marielle?
Ya, terima kasih atas pertanyaan Bu. Untuk jawabannya, memang kalau Ibu kerja untuk perusahaan Amerika dan Ibu mau nanti mengunjungi Amerika sebagai turis, itu agak sulit Bu, karena Ibu kerja untuk perusahaan Amerika. Jadi mungkin B1, B2 itu tidak cocok untuk jenis perjalanan Ibu. Jadi itu tergantung Bu, kalau memang mau jalan-jalan saja itu tidak ada masalah. Tapi memang kalau Ibu mau ketemu sama orang di perusahaannya, atau ada training di sana, atau memang mau kerja di sana, itu tidak boleh Bu. Dan memang harus cari jenis visa yang lain.
Semoga bisa menjawab ya Mbak Ika. Ada yang mau nanya sama Abang Ferdinand ini? Dari teman-teman BINUS udah jauh-jauh loh. Ada yang mau tanya?
Sorry Stel, kemarin
sorry.
sorry.
Iya, go ahead. Sebentar ya. Gimana?
Kemarin juga ada yang nanya, kebetulan saya juga nggak tahu ya proses dari green card menjadi, ini di luar topik sih, proses dari green card menjadi American citizen itu berapa lama dan bagaimana prosesnya gitu. Karena ini banyak sekali yang nanya. Kemarin juga saya lihat di Instagram juga ada yang nanya. Ya,
mungkin Bang Ferdinand bisa jawab ya. Itu menarik sih. Terima kasih Grace.
Oke, kalau prosesnya berapa lama? I'm not sure either sih ya. Kalau masalah waktunya ini, kalau me myself karena emang green card lottery, jadi datang ke Amerika itu kan saya startnya nol. Dari nol. Jadi saya melihatnya emang kenapa it takes 5 years sampai saya eligible untuk bisa majuin jadi citizen, US citizen itu it takes like 5 years. Mungkin karena kami yang di university ini dapat lottery ini mulainya dari nol, from scratch gitu kan. Kebetulan kakak juga ada dapat visa fiancé, married sama bule di sana. Dia 3 tahun udah bisa langsung jadi US citizen. I think karena mungkin kakak startnya kan sudah ada supportnya dari suami, dari spouse. Tapi kalau saya kan mungkin karena dari nol dianggapnya, jadi kita 5 tahun. It takes 5 years dari kita datang sampai kita eligible untuk ngajuin jadi US citizen tuh take 5 years.
Oh gitu.
Iya.
Jadi pada saat itu tuh Bang Ferdinand kan berarti udah kepikiran ya, pengen US citizen nih.
Iya.
Terus udah gitu mengajukan ke
Pernah nanya, kita kan pertama kali pikir kan sama mungkin sama kakak gitu ya, 3,5 tahun kali ya, apa gimana? Kita coba ajukan tuh karena dibilang, oh no, untuk for visa lottery it takes 5 years.
Oh gitu,
Iya,
jadi
emang itu
masing-masing
jawabannya.
ada
Tenggang waktunya beda-beda.
tenggang waktunya beda-beda.
Iya.
Itu nanyanya dulu kemana?
Ke imigrasi
Immigration
US,
ya?
Ya, US immigration.
I see. Menarik ya. Siapa tahu nih adik-adik yang di sini nanti mau jadi US citizen? Saya sih kalau masih muda kayak kalian mah pengen loh. Cuman udah ya usia ya. Mungkin next saya ke sebelah sini tadi ada 2 lagi. Ya silakan Mas. Sebutkan namanya ya, karena nanti kita untuk pertanyaan terbaik dari Grace sama Meriel sama Bang Ferdinand, boleh pilih masing-masing satu pertanyaan, satu orang yang tadi bertanya, yang terbaik nanti ada oleh-oleh ya dari Counselor Section US Embassy Jakarta, kapan lagi loh. Yuk silakan Mas.
Iya, terima kasih, selamat sore. Saya dengan gelar, saya mau bertanya sama Pak Ferdinand ya, tentang pengalamannya ketika dia udah dapat, udah berangkat, udah datang di Amerika, terus apakah visanya itu tuh langsung otomatis jadi green card, terus rules-nya kalau let's say misalnya oke, jadi green card, terus rules-nya kita apakah harus ada stay for a while like maybe couple years in America, atau kita rules untuk bisa keluar dari Amerikanya sama kayak ngikutin standard green card holder saja gitu loh. Nah, terima kasih.
Terima kasih Mas Gelar ya?
Ya.
Ya, silakan Bang.
Oke, kalau kita ngomongin namanya mungkin USDV ya. Tapi emang kalau saya bilang sih emang green card lottery udah paling gampang lah. Kalau kita bikin USDV kan kayaknya kan like apa sih DV diversity segala macam gitu. Kita bilangnya green card lottery. Jadi once interview and then dibilang oke, waktu berangkat emang sih waktu pertama kali dikasih dokumen, satu bundle dokumen gitu. Kita serahin dokumennya and then it takes like sebulan 2 bulan sampai mereka keluarin semuanya komplit, green card-nya, SS number segala macam. Tapi once kita udah dapat itu, emang udah langsung as a permanent resident, istilahnya mungkin kalau di sini kita bilangnya, atau green card itu emang kita sudah bisa traveling sebenarnya gitu loh. Jadi kalau biar nggak susah ribet, mungkin kalau kita ngomongin diversity segala macam, kan like bingung kali ya. Kita bilang emang green card lottery aja udah paling simple sih. Once kita di congratulation, interview berhasil, that's it, you got green card already. Iya.
Semoga menjawab ya Mas Gelar ya. Ada lagi?
Kalau saya boleh
silakan Ibu.
tambah satu hal yang penting, nanti kalau sudah dapat green card-nya, yang sangat penting harus tinggal di Amerika. Jadi tidak boleh lebih dari 1 tahun di luar Amerika. Boleh balik lagi ke Indonesia sebentar saja, tapi harus balik lagi ke Amerika lagi. Karena memang tujuan green card-nya mau tinggal di Amerika sebagai resident.
Itu mungkin makanya tadi Bang Ferdinand bilang bolak-balik ke Indonesia ya kan, karena memang harus di sana juga, tapi udah US citizen sih sekarang ya.
Ya, tapi kalau bolak-balik pun kita ngomongin ya karena emang saya sih tujuannya kan emang di sana pengen permanen, jadi maksudnya di kerja segala macam settle di sana. Jadi bolak-baliknya itu cuma vacation di sini sebulan, kunjungin keluarga, and then balik lagi. Ya standarnya kita vacation lah. Kita kerja di sini, kita vacation sebulan kemana, balik lagi kerja kayak gitu lah kira-kira.
Ya, semoga menjawab. Yang dari sebelah sini? Sebelah sini dulu ya. Nah, ini ada yang dari BINUS nih ya. Silakan, namanya siapa?
Good evening, my name is Diana and I'm from BINUS University. I would like to ask about the tourism visas. I would like to bring a case if, just for example, there's an orphan, like there's only one person in the family book, and she wants to go to enjoy like Palm Springs or Nevada, and she wants to enjoy tourism in USA. Does it still possible if she still have like financial, her financial is good, but she only have herself in the family book? Will it be a problem? Thank you.
Thank you so much for that question. It's a really good one. So to answer your question, yes, it's still possible, even if you're an orphan, to travel to the United States. You know, people come from all kinds of different backgrounds, and in the United States, it's really important to recognize that, and it adds to our diversity of different backgrounds and experiences. During the interview, that somebody in that position would need to be prepared again to talk about their ties. So just because you don't have parents doesn't mean you don't have other types of ties. You mentioned maybe the financial situation's okay, maybe you have a business in Indonesia, or maybe you have some other kind of reason to return to Indonesia, like a master's program or something like that. But it definitely doesn't exclude you from applying for a tourist visa.
Semoga menjawab ya Diana ya. Semoga teman-teman dari BINUS ini nanti bisa jalan-jalan ke Amerika, tinggal di sana, balik lagi ke sini bilangin kita ya, oh terinspirasi nih gitu kan, berarti berhasil kita. Ya, saya mungkin mau tanya dulu yang online ya, boleh ya Mbak? Abis ini ke Mbak yang pakai baju coklat, yang lagi pegang handphone. Dari pertanyaan online, ada yang bertanya, ini tentang diversity visa. Mungkin tadi ini Grace sebenarnya udah touch base sedikit sih. Kalau misalkan sebagai pasangan suami istri apply diversity visa, apakah nanti apply-nya terpisah atau satu sama pemohon utama? Nah, itu.
Seperti tadi saya bilang, kalau misalnya kita sudah menikah, kesempatannya ada 2 kali. Satu melalui principal applicant-nya bisa suami memasukkan aplikasi, dan satu lagi istri sebagai principal applicant. Gitu. Jadi bisa 2 kali kesempatan. Dan pernah ada juga kejadian ya satu keluarga ini suaminya dapat, istrinya pun dapat gitu. Jadi ya kita suruh pilih aja mau yang diajukan atas suami atau yang istri gitu. Tapi they both qualified, jadi nggak ada masalah sebenarnya. Cuma ya sayang sih sebenarnya kuota yang satu itu kan bisa dipakai untuk orang lain sebenarnya.
Iya, betul,
Cuma
jadi lepas
sayangnya
ya.
ya nggak bisa gitu.
Dan kalau diversity visa ini harus kalau seperti itu berarti immediate family members ya. Jadi
Ya.
suami atau istri atau anak?
Suami, istri, dan anak-anak di bawah umur 21.
Oh, oke. Berarti kalau ada suami
Dan belum dan anaknya belum menikah gitu.
Oh gitu.
Iya.
Berarti tambah lagi kesempatannya kalau kayak gitu ya.
Iya.
Oke. Itu aja dari online. Ayo Mbak, silakan Mbak. Namanya siapa?
Hello, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Z. I have 2 questions. First for Mariel. My question is it any typical or specific health insurance to apply tourist visa? And then the second question for Pak Ferdinand. Apa sih tantangan terbesar saat tinggal di US secara general aja? Dan bagaimana cara Anda mendapatkan pekerjaan pertama Anda di US? Thank you.
Makasih Mbak Zi, itu menarik banget loh ya. Pekerjaan saya jadi berkurang loh Pak Ferdinand. Ya ampun, untuk moderator makasih ya Mbak Zi ya. Silakan Mariel.
Thank you for your question. So no, there's no requirement to have any kind of health insurance to apply for a tourist visa. There could be cases for certain types of visas, student visas. For the visa itself, you don't need to have health insurance, but some school programs would require you to have health insurance as part of your programming. But no, you don't need to bring any kind of documentation of health insurance to the interview itself.
Terus yang pertanyaan berikutnya Pak Ferdinand.
Kendalanya ya, tipikal tantangannya ya, maksudnya kayak tantangannya, tipikal orang rantau kali ya, kendalanya atau tantangannya yang paling berat adalah, apalagi kita di sini, Indonesia itu benar-benar sosial banget ya, maunya kita punya teman, tetangga, segala macam rame, and then suddenly pindah ke sana, sendirian, out of nowhere, nggak punya teman, nggak punya apa, itu tantangan paling berat buat saya pribadi ya. Karena saya biasanya orangnya sukanya outdoor, kebetulan Grace ini juga teman saya naik gunung dulu waktu SMA kami. Nah, jadi di sana, nyampe sana kami, saya nggak punya teman, hanya baru berteman, ya basa-basi lah istilahnya. Itu tantangan paling berat, nggak punya teman, nggak punya keluarga, buat saya itu paling berat. Terus kalau ngomongin tadi pekerjaan ya, kebetulan basicnya dari Indo, saya sudah punya komputer workshop, udah punya dulu warnet kita bilangnya, skillnya di IT, komputer, nyampe sana emang nyarinya udah begitu. Jadi saya pribadi ngelamar kerjanya langsung ke komputer, toko-toko komputer. Terus ya karena seperti dia bilang kendalanya bahasa, jadi memberitahu gitu loh, oke, gua ngerti komputer, tapi masalah gua kendala gua di bahasa. And mereka terima, there you go. Jadinya pertama kali sempat kerja di toko komputer 2 tahun, lompat-lompat lah, maunya nyobain restoran juga, pernah jadi loper koran juga, kurir, lama di kurir, delivery, nabung di situ, baru buka usaha. Tapi kira-kira awalnya ya seperti lah, pokoknya awal pertama kerjaan itu karena emang saya punya skill kebetulan di komputer sih, itu aja. Tapi nggak banyak kok kerjaan. Saya bilang Amerika itu the dreamland, kerjaan itu banyak. Jadi kalau kita ngomongin asal mau aja, asal tekun aja, asal siap aja, kerja keras, is a good opportunity, Amerika. Kira-kira itu.
Semoga menjawab ya Mbak Zi. Aku akan balik lagi nih ke pertanyaan online. Mungkin ke Ibu Mariel. So the question is, if someone still have their F1 visa, which is the student visa, and dan belum dipakai, apakah boleh dia apply tourist visa dan apakah bisa?
Yes, so you can have multiple different types of visas, even in one passport or in different passports. If you have an F1 visa, even if you haven't used it, that doesn't bar you from applying for a tourist visa. Just make sure when you enter the United States that you help the CBP, the Border Patrol, by presenting them the appropriate visa. Or they might ask you, why are you saying you're a tourist? If you have this student visa, just say, oh, I have that other visa in my passport. But they're very used to that. They're very used to seeing lots of different visas in a passport, so it's no problem at all.
Thank you. Ada pertanyaan lagi di sini? Ibu, silakan. Abis ini nanti saya ke sini ya. Silakan Ibu.
Hi, I'm Jeanette.
Yeah.
We're a family of 4, but my eldest is in UC, is taking up his material science and engineering. So he's a F1 holder. The questions are in regards to the application of diversity. He is not in Indonesia. That's the first question. Will that be eligible for applying him with the family, as a whole family? Second one is he's at his 20. Will that be also considered, or he has to apply by himself? Anyway, it is just, we're checking on the informations. He's currently on his college still. Thank you.
So are you Indonesian?
I am.
Okay, so yeah, as long as he's still under 21 and he's still single, you can include him as a dependent. But by the time at the interview, let's say you won the DV 2025, in 2 years, I think he'll be 22, yeah. We have this type of calculator like Child Status Protection Act. So we need to calculate first if he's still eligible or not. There's another section that we need to count that probably applicant doesn't have to know. Yeah. So basically, you still can include him as a dependent. Yeah. And if he's still eligible under CSPA, he can become a DV recipient. Or first, I think we can also do adjustment status, probably. So we will issue your application first, then we will report to the USCIS so he can do adjustment status there. He doesn't have to come to Jakarta for interview.
And if I may add, the important thing too, Ibu, is that he doesn't get married. So it's possible to have the exception with the age if he's approved through the CSPA. But if he gets married, then he's not eligible anymore. So that can be quite difficult for a lot of people who are ready to get married and they have to wait for that process.
Terima kasih. Mungkin karena tadi kita ngomongin USCIS, ini ada pertanyaan lagi dari YouTube. Pertanyaannya ini dari John. Apabila pemegang visa B1B itu pernah overstay, mendapatkan USCIS approval atas applicant to extend dan keluar USA sesuai USCIS approval, dapat mengajukan visa B1B2 untuk mengunjungi USA kembali. Jadi udah overstay, boleh gak apply visa turis lagi? Gitu.
Boleh apply lagi, tapi kembali lagi ke kejujurannya. Nanti kalau orang itu diwawancarai dan ditanya apakah Anda pernah ke Amerika dan dia bilang tidak, kemungkinan besar dia ditolak terus-terusan. Karena kalau satu kali tidak jujur, mungkin ditolak lagi. Jadi yang penting jujur saja bilang, ya saya pernah ke sana, saya pernah overstay 10 tahun, 15 tahun. Tapi yang penting jujur. Ada ineligibility juga. Jadi kalau sebelumnya, contohnya kalau dia pulang ke Indonesia 2018 contohnya, dia ada bar 10 tahun. Jadi dia tidak mungkin bisa balik lagi ke Amerika sampai 2028. Jadi tergantung, dan nanti saat diwawancarai itu dihitung berapa lama dia di sana, kalau dia statusnya diperpanjang dengan sah atau tidak. Jadi ada beberapa faktor yang dipertimbangkan.
Terima kasih Ibu. Tadi di sebelah sini ya, Mbaknya mau nanya, silakan.
My name is Aida, and I wanted to ask two things. The first thing is the difference between the F&M student visa, and the second thing is whether my fluency in English will be put into consideration for my eligibility. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Terima kasih Aida.
Thank you for your question, and I don't think you have to worry about your fluency in English. Your English is beautiful. The difference between F and M visas, F is for academic programs, M is for vocational programs. So most of the M visas that we see are for pilot studies, for people who are studying to become pilots, commercial pilots, private pilots. But it could be for other types of vocational studies. It could be for certain culinary programs or fashion programs, things like that. We see by far more F visas, so that would be for any of the academic programs, for associate's degrees, for bachelor degrees, master's degrees, PhDs. And the processes are very similar between the two. In both cases, you need to apply to the school first. And then once you're accepted into the school, they will help you prepare the information, the forms that you'll need for your student visa. So it's just about determining what kind of program is more appropriate for the type of study that you want to do.
That's great. Semoga bisa menjawab ya Aida. Aida mau sekolah di Amerika ya? Amin ya? Amin. Ada lagi pertanyaan? Oh, silakan.
Nama saya Michael Tegar dari BINUS University, saya mahasiswa dari pariwisata. Jadi kan kalau di BINUS itu kita ada program 3+1, jadi 1 tahunnya itu kita maksimal bisa magang. Nah, kalau saya apply magang di perusahaan di Amerika, jadi kan after 1 tahun maksimal saya dapat, saya pulang lagi ke Jakarta. Nah itu setelah saya dapat acceptance-nya dari perusahaan di Amerika itu, tahap selanjutnya untuk mendapatkan visanya itu seperti apa?
Oke, jadi kalau ada magang di Amerika, kalau sudah biasanya masuk ke Amerika dengan status J visa, karena itu untuk magang, untuk exchange dan seterusnya. Tapi nanti kalau sudah dapat magang seperti itu, tergantung jenis perusahaannya. Biasanya harus pulang ke Indonesia dulu selama 2 tahun sebelum bisa dapat visa jenis lain seperti H visa yang bisa digunakan untuk bekerja lebih lama di Amerika. Tapi tergantung jenis pekerjaannya.
Thank you.
Terima kasih Tegar, semoga menjawab. Ada lagi yang mau nanya? Dari sini. Oh, silakan yang di sebelah sana.
Selamat sore, nama saya Arlina. Saya mau nanya, saat ini saya sedang proses visa petition for alien repetitive relatif dari suami saya, form I 130. Apakah saya masih bisa apply untuk lottery green card ini, atau seperti Mbak bilang ya udahlah nanti kuotanya untuk orang lain aja gitu, atau gimana Mbak? Itu kan masih Mbak bilang akan ya, kalau ini saya udah on proses gitu. Seperti itu, makasih.
File petisinya kapan?
Maret 2023.
Oke, biasanya
Maret
untuk
2023.
Ya, untuk petisi I-130 itu prosesnya sekitar 9 bulan sampai 1 tahun untuk mendapat approval. Jadi step pertamanya itu suami kan harus memasukkan aplikasi I-130, kemudian dia dapat receipt notice kan. Setelah dapat receipt notice baru dia dapat approval notice. Nah, setelah dapat approval notice baru file itu akan ditransfer ke National Visa Center atau NVC. Nanti dari NVC itu yang akan memberikan jadwal interview. Jadi setelah Anda dapat jadwal interview, baru file itu dikirim ke Jakarta, Anda diinterview di Jakarta. Kalau saya bilang, kalau Anda tetap mau apply untuk visa diversity visa, ya silakan. Tapi sudah pasti kalau Anda menjalani lewat jalur I-130 itu akan lebih cepat dapatnya gitu. Jadi sekitar 9 bulan sampai 1 tahun kira-kira. Gitu.
Semoga menjawab ya Mbak Arlina. Semoga lancar-lancar ya Mbak ya, biar cepet ya. Ada lagi yang mau nanya? Silahkan, di sebelah sini.
Hello, my name is Verna, and I'm currently in my first semester of studying in Venus University as a tourism student. And I have a question about the approval, maybe. How do I explain this? So, for example, allocentric people who just don't have any point, will they be able to be approved by their visas to be approved by the government or the US in general? Because in the interview, you are asked like, what's your plan is, but what if I do not have a plan? I just want to get there and I want to explore and see around the world in the US and study it for myself instead of like having research in the first place. I guess that's my question.
That's a really great question, and I think you phrased it really well. So it comes down to credibility. If you come to the interview and you tell me, I'm the type of person that just really loves to travel, I'm really, really interested in seeing the United States, I'm not really sure yet where I'm going to go, but I have a couple places that I'm considering. Based on how you tell me that, I'm going to gauge, do I believe her or do I not believe her? Usually if somebody doesn't have a plan, it comes off credibly if it's true. But if somebody really has a different plan, but they're pretending like they don't have a plan, then that's when I start to get concerned, if that makes sense. So it's perfectly fine to come to the interview and just say, I'm still thinking about it. You should still have a couple ideas in mind that you can discuss. So don't be totally vague. Don't say, I could literally end up in Alabama or in Seattle, Washington, who knows? But it has some kind of direction, but it's okay to say that you're still thinking about it. Okay?
Ya, jadi jujur ya Bu ya, intinya ya kejujuran adalah kunci. Ya. Terus ini ada pertanyaan lagi, mungkin maybe because people are asking, will it be necessary to have a booster, the vaccine booster, in order to enter the U.S. territory right now?
That's a good question. I think it depends on what state you're traveling to. I think at this point, there's no longer a national requirement for a booster. I could be wrong, but I believe that changed a year or so ago. So definitely before you travel to the United States, make sure to check the specific requirements for any of the states that you're traveling to, and make sure that you have any required documentation that might be required with you when you travel. So make sure to have it in your bag with you instead of in your checked luggage. But again, I'm not entirely sure, so double check before you do travel.
If I can edit. Okay, for that thing, maybe last September, I was traveling to US. They didn't ask about the booster anymore. And then last June, I was back to in US again. They didn't ask too about the booster. It's already back to normal, everything actually though. Yeah. So pretty much like that one. That's the question, the answer for the question.
Terima kasih banyak Bang. Mungkin kalau saya, ini ada beberapa pertanyaan lagi dari teman-teman online karena kalau saya ke Bang Ferdinand nih, apa sih Bang suka dukanya di Philottery? Dapat green card, suka dukanya apa? Banyak sukanya?
Oke.
Banyak dukanya?
Kalau menjawab itu mungkin pertanyaannya lebih ke arah, kalau saya pribadi ya, pertanyaannya itu it depends on umur kali ya. That time when I got the visa, the green card lottery, I was 27. So usia produktif. For that year, for that moment, itu benar-benar anugerah istilahnya, berkat. Karena usia produktif, well, if I have to choose between working here and over there, I choose over there pastinya, gitu kan. Kerjanya bukannya kita mau comparison with this country, enggak. Tapi maksudnya hasilnya beda. Kira-kira kayak gitulah, gitu loh. I cannot say anything about our country pastinya kan. Tapi poinnya, waktu usia produktif saya, apa yang saya kerjakan di sana, like I said, is dreamland. You can work, kalau di sini kan kerja kita like office hour, 8 to 5, that's it. Di sana kita mau double, mau triple, you can do it. There's a lot of job opportunity. You wanna work midnight, you wanna work early in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, they have it. As long as you wanna work, they have a lot of job over there. Pretty much like that. Ya, kalau ngomongin tantangannya cuman tekun aja, asal kerja keras.
Tekun, kerja keras,
Iya,
kejujuran.
that's it.
Hari ini kita banyak kata-kata kunci ya, seneng deh. It's so inspiring. Makasih ya Bang ya. I think it's also good for you guys to actually be here. I think from Bina Nusantara University and also people joining us online. I think it's really important what Bang Ferdinand was saying, you know, when you're actually in your productive year, that's actually the time that you can actually, you know, like see the opportunity, you know, like you have to plan ahead, you know, that kind of thing. I think that's very important. When you get to my age,
There you
there's
go.
no much options. So I think, let me go back. Is there anyone who's wanting to ask any question anymore? Oke, kita masih punya sedikit waktu. Boleh yang di paling atas tuh? Terima kasih.
Nah, selamat sore. Saya Christine ya. Saya mau nanya, itu diversity visa atau green card lottery itu ada limit umurnya nggak untuk persyaratannya, requirementnya? Terus itu hanya pure luck atau ada persyaratan yang lain itu, atau kita harus ada poinnya gitu untuk dapetin diversity green visa ini? Terus kalau udah dapet tapi kita misalkan udah tinggal di Amerika gitu ya, tapi selama setahun kita belum dapat kerjaan gitu, itu nanti untuk dapat visa untuk selanjutnya itu ada pertimbangan lainnya enggak? Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Ge, masih ingat pertanyaannya? Umur, silakan.
Kalau untuk persyaratannya tadi umur ya pertama ya, persyaratan umur nggak ada batasan umur. Persyaratan utamanya cuma satu, yaitu minimal tamat SMA, itu aja. Terus misalnya tadi dibilang setelah setahun dapat green card tidak ada kerjaan, selama Anda tinggal di Amerika sih itu tidak akan mempengaruhi green card Anda gitu. Kecuali Anda nggak dapat kerjaan, kemudian Anda pulang ke Indonesia dan tinggal lebih dari setahun, baru itu akan mempengaruhi green card Anda gitu.
Yang visa diversity yang itu pure luck atau ada
Itu
requirement
pure
yang
luck
lain?
ya, pure luck
Oke.
karena itu computer generated system gitu.
thank
Jadi
you.
ya memang lotre, benar-benar lotre secara acak, secara random begitu.
Thank you.
Oke, semoga menjawab. Saya akan ambil yang belum dulu ya Mbak. Nanti kita ada booth, jadi kalau misalkan mau bertanya, ini jarang-jarang ya dari Kedutaan Besar Amerika Serikat bagian Consular Section bisa ada di depan, bisa ditanya-tanya. Ya biasanya kalau yang udah pernah ke Kedutaan Amerika ada ininya ya, ada barriernya gitu kan. Ini bisa langsung nanya gitu kan, seru. Ada lagi pertanyaan yang belum sempat nanya, saya ambil satu lagi ya. Silakan Ibu. Kasihan di blok.
Selamat sore, nama saya Satya. Saya mau tanya, yang di form yang harus diisi untuk diversity visa itu pertanyaannya tuh apa aja gitu? Ada limit waktunya harus 60 menit, kesannya kayak ujian gitu.
Mungkin Ferdinand kali ya yang tahu, tapi benar-benar ya waktu kalau misalnya secara umum sih nama, alamat, tempat tinggal, nomor data-data yang pribadi aja sih biasanya begitu. Kemudian ada, kalau nggak salah juga ada pertanyaan apakah Anda punya kontak di Amerika, alamat dan nomor telepon di Amerika. Pokoknya very general kok pertanyaannya kalau untuk visa lotre gitu. Karena nanti setelah Anda isi aplikasi itu dan Anda terpilih, nanti akan ada formulir satu lagi yang Anda harus isi namanya DS260. Nah di DS260 itu yang nanti Anda harus detail termasuk sejarah pekerjaan Anda, kemudian Anda pernah tinggal di mana saja dan sekolah Anda di mana aja dari awal sampai terakhir gitu. Itu akan lebih spesifik di DS260 setelah Anda terpilih. Itu aja.
Semoga menjawab ya Bu. Saya satu lagi sebelah kiri. Silahkan ini tadi, kasihan dia udah jauh-jauh dari Binus.
Selamat sore.
Selamat
My
sore.
name is Surya from Binus University, And I would like to ask a question. Is there any chance for America to be a visa-free country for Indonesia in the future? Like Thailand, Malaysia, Turki, mereka kan negara bebas visa ya buat Indonesia. So that all Indonesians can get so that all Indonesian doesn't need a visa to go to US, because I think the main problem for most Indonesians to get the visa is not about the interview, it's not about the documents, but because of the fee, the cost of the visa. Tadi kan dibilangin kalau costnya itu sekitar 300 USD ya.
535 untuk yang diversity visa, ya kan?
Turis mungkin 200-100an. Ya.
Gitu. Beda-beda sih.
Oh ya.
Iya.
Itu saya tadi sempat hitung juga, itu sekitar berapa ya? Mungkin 10 jutaan lebih lah. And I think it's too expensive for most Indonesians like me.
Well, like me too. Ya, Surya, terima kasih banyak pertanyaannya.
And if there's no chance of become visa-free country for Indonesians, I would like to ask my second question.
Ya, Surya, mohon maaf, kami waktunya limited. Nanti kalau misalkan mau nanya di depan boleh ya. Yang ini dijawab dulu boleh?
Oke.
Ya, terima kasih Surya. Silakan Ibu Mariel.
Okay, thank you, Surya, for your question. So visas and whether there's fees associated to them, whether countries require visas, all of that is done on the principle of reciprocity. So if Indonesia requires Americans to get visas, America requires Indonesia to get visas and vice versa. So between our two countries, we have agreed to require visas for both of us. That being said, I totally understand what you're saying about the price of the visa and it being expensive. What I will say is that when you get a U.S. visa, it's good for 5 years. So it could be that you're able to travel to the United States a few different times within that period of time, and you don't need to pay a new fee each time you go back to the United States. So that's one aspect of the U.S. visa, which is quite nice.
Thank you so much. So everyone, we're actually at the end of our program. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And for Mariel, I think, yeah, thank you so much. It's been very engaging. It's been 18 years since the last time I actually talked about consular visas, so it's like very motivating. So from Mariel, you get to choose one person who will get the oleh-oleh.
This is actually very difficult because all of the questions were fantastic. You're clearly a very thinking group. But my choice is the young lady here who asked about the question about orphans.
Orphans. Yang ini nih yang lagi ngobrol. Sayang. Oh, ini Diana. Right? Oh, I can still remember. Great. Boleh di sini? Nih, pilih. Lu pilih aja orangnya. Thank you. Grace, which one? I mean, if you don't remember, you can point out, you know, just like that.
Mungkin Mbak yang depan yang baju hijau.
Ruth, I remember. Mau lihat
Ya, thank you.
Silakan boleh mau foto dulu? Silakan ke sini. Grace, foto. You cannot get this out of the embassy. So, yeah. Makasih. Ayo Bang, pilih yang mana Bang?
Ya kalau saya mah cuma satu doang yang nanya.
Sama saya Bang yang nanya banyak Bang. Saya
Mas
aja
yang itu,
gimana?
nah itu dia.
Matching ini sama kadonya kan, ya kemejanya. Iya, semoga ini adalah pertanda keberuntungan, ya kan? Ya, terima kasih semuanya. I will pass to Patricia.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Stella. And once again, can we give a big round of applause to all speakers and moderator for today? And congratulations to the one who get the ole. Okay, earlier at this event, we have trivia quiz for you who join us via online platforms. And the question was, is it true or false? The theme of World Tourism Day 2023 is tourism and green investment. And the correct answer is true. It highlights the need for more and better targeted investments for the Sustainable Development Goals, the UN Roadmap for a Better World by 2030. So congratulations to Farhan Dharma Tatya from YouTube, who is the fastest one who can guess correctly. The last, if you want to go to our amazing next events here in At America, you can check our social media. We have on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, AT America. Thank you so much for joining with us. My name is Patricia Elizabeth, and see you at the next At America events. Bye. After this, we have Consular booth and Education USA booth at our exhibition area.